Greetings, and welcome to a spiritual joint where we talk about all things spiritual. So that's pretty much everything because everything is spirit, everything is energy, everything is frequency. So I just had a little thought the other day. Was listening to somebody and they were talking about, it was a little short, it was a comedy show, and there's a couple and the husband, I'm guessing, wanted to treat his wife to a couples massage. And she said, so you think it's a good idea for us to pay lots of money to let a stranger rub on us? And I thought about it, and I was like, that's, if you think about it, your first initial time, you don't really know this person, and you are getting fairly close to being fully undressed and allowing them to, massage you, rub on you, we could say. And of course we expect professionalism. Of course we expect, this to be a massage that is truly a massage. What I'm talking about is, you're looking for that massage, to loosen out the kinks, to loosen out your body, the knots and all of the things from the stresses you have had. But we are trusting someone to do this, where many ancient cultures, ancient societies, this was something that we did in the home. We were able to massage each other. We would, trade off. 1 week is your week, the next week is my week, type thing, because we knew each other. It's family or close friends or something to that, to the tune of that, to that tune. And after, I was thinking about it, it kind of makes sense, because you really don't know these people, and, trigger, unfortunately, sometimes, things do end up a certain kind of way. But I was also thinking, the fact that, now that we have this allopathic thing going on, this medical thing going on, this dental thing going on, we're doing the same thing, wherein we are, till you become the regular customer. But, the first, regardless of whether, you answer the questions, blah, 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 these people don't really know you. They don't know you per se. They know what you write on the paper, but they don't really know you. So in the same vein of, paying lots of money to let someone rub on you, to massage you, we pay lots of money to allow these people to, we put our lives in the hands of these people who most of the time they wear a white coat, and we think because they've got this white coat that gives them carte blanche to tell us what to do, how to do, when to do, where to do, why to do, type thing. And even though they may have gone to school and learned some things, for the most part, most of them do not even have a basic understanding, nor have they taken a class in nutrition, which is important for understanding what may be happening. But all of that to say, just be mindful when you're paying these people, because a lot of cultures in ancient times, the healer, the medicine person, they were paid when everybody was well, because that was their job. So they spent times getting to know the families and the children in the family so they would know, what they liked, what they did, all about them, so they would be able to make sure that they stayed healthy, because this was their job, this was their purpose, to make sure that the culture, the tribe, the community stayed healthy. But as soon as somebody was sick, payment stopped, because you weren't doing your job. So their job was to make sure that we stayed safe. And, the way it is now, after vilifying the wise women and the wise men and the herbalists and the woodsman and the green man and the energy person, after all of these people were vilified and hunted, in many cases some of them were removed from this plane, that was the treatment, that was the method of getting help. If your parents did not know what to do, you would check in with the medicine person to get wisdom and guidance to help you to get back to equilibrium. But after the witch hunts, it's still been a long road back for many of us, getting back to being trusted and respected with the knowledge that we have about herbs and bodies and life and those things, because we put a lot of respect into these white coats. And that's not to say that all of them can be a little skeptical or not as learned as others, but based on the curriculum of the majority of them, the understanding and wisdom of actually knowing all aspects of body is not always there. So just being mindful of your own health. When I was going to school, we did have health, and we learned a lot of things about health and how to take care of ourselves, and that seems to be lost, because I'm talking with some of my people and their children who are going to school, those classes aren't taught, and many of us do not have basic understanding of how the body functions, what the body needs in order for it to, just make it through on a basic level. And that's not inclusive of people who want to endeavor in higher educational pursuits or higher athletic pursuits, because that requires another level of understanding. So just put a little note on your mind to, do some of your own research. Don't just accept everything that is said. Question everything. Get your own answers, and also especially be mindful in this day and time of all of this, no disrespect, but all of this AI stuff that is going wrong, because it seems to make it appear that AI is this all-knowing entity, when truth be told, the information that AI has is based on information that people, whether they know it or not, have put into this intelligence. This is based on some other people's intelligence. And while, it does have the capacity to compile these things, at a super fast rate, we get that. However, the actual intelligence that sentient beings have is not the same as what this AI has. So be mindful as you are, asking ChatGPT and Claude and DeepSeek and whoever else is out there now. Just be mindful that, this information is coming from people, and also be mindful of the fact that information is being removed. We'll talk about that at another time, but information is being removed at an alarming rate. Things that you possibly were able to research, and even, since this advent, it's slowly being removed, or have major disclaimers put on them if you can find that. But I digress. Again, like I said, we'll talk about that another time. But again, point of the day is just be mindful who you are putting your trust in. And then, not only, as far as getting a masseuse or getting a doctor, but be mindful when you're getting your spiritual wisdom, who you're speaking to, just because they may have gone to theology school, or, they've got some type of certification, that does not make them the end all be all. We are invited at this time to remember to reconnect with what we feel, what we know is best for us, not what someone outside of us is telling us should be best for us. More trust in ourselves. A lot of people who maybe are more into their senses, more sensual in the actual feeling senses, I'm told that we're too much, or we're too sensitive, or, you can't trust that. You can't explain why you feel a certain way, or what makes you think this way about whatever it may be. We're always encouraged to let that go, to not we're not allowed to have that be real, because we don't have physical evidence of it, or we can't prove it per se. But can you see the wind? What color is water? Does that make these things any less of what they are, just because we can't see them? So many of these things that we believe in are theories, and theories are not proven to be 100% of what they are. Like, we have the theory of evolution. There has been no definitive proof of how we got to be here. Darwin said, he's got his theory, and there have been other theories, but theories are not fact. Theories are things that we accept because the mass people, scientists or whomever, have deemed that is what we should believe and agree to believe. I mean, how many of us heard of Santa Claus? How is that working out? But anyway, just be mindful that, we have an intelligence within that we can trust, that once we tap in, once we connect, that it is for our higher interest, based on the wisdom, knowledge, and understanding of our higher selves. And for those of you connected, the other sentient beings that are looking out for us are also available for you to tap in. So just be mindful who is leading your vessel, who is in control of your temple, your body. And we'll talk again soon. Peace.